All right. All right. Welcome to the Star Wars Reporter Podcast, the official podcast of StarWarsReporter.com. I'm one of your hosts, Boba Steve, and I'm joined today by two of my nerdy scoundrels. First off, Darth Slobo.
Back again.
He keeps coming back because apparently he isn't as smart as those papers behind him says. And we also have Trooper Todd. And we know his intelligence. And he's muted, but he doesn't know.
Right. Sorry. I said I'm only here for a limited time. I have to head off to work soon, but yeah, I'm happy to be here for a short time.
Work. How could you leave this?
I guess one pays me more? Possibly.
So, of course, the topic for tonight is going to be Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett.
I have to send a message.
They're going to war.
Then we will be ready.
All right. So, the Disney Plus is continuing with making these great shows. So, pretty excited. Adam and I were talking before you got here, Todd, before we went live, and man, we're gonna have a lot to talk about today.
Absolutely. Where do we begin?
I know. Where do we begin? We begin with make sure everyone follows us on social media, and also make sure that you like this video and subscribe. And of course, if you want to contact us, collaborate, promotions, news tips, to say hi, or complain about Todd, contact at StarWarsReporter.com. So
great. Now you're gonna have a big bunch of email from my wife.
All the fan mail's coming in now.
Yeah, and my daughter just be coming right in now.
Hey, if they want to complain about you, Todd, in the chat, we'll show it. So we'll show it anytime. But guys, so Chapter 3, where to begin? Why don't we start with Todd, because he's going to be leaving shortly, and I thought I would do that waiter thing where I catch him halfway through a chew.
I'm sorry, I have to eat because I'm headed out the door too, so I apologize, everyone. Well, what can I say? Well, again, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Robert Rodriguez directed this episode too. So again, I'm a big fan of his work. I don't believe he does car chases very well. He hasn't had a lot of experience doing car chases, but that'll come up, I'm sure, later on in the episode. But overall, I really enjoyed the episode. I'm just trying to remember how it started. How did it start? I watched it today, but it started when they went to go visit. Well, how did it start again? He's in the chamber.
They were in the palace, and the droid was talking to them about.
That's right.
Yeah, they were going over the Mos Eisley and how it's divided since Jabba and then Bib.
Right. Then it went into the flashback scene, of course, when he's in his tank, which happened really pretty early, right? And I thought that was quite shocking. I didn't quite expect what happened in the flashback scene to transpire. Were you guys surprised about that? I mean, of course, he with flashback, he comes back. Sorry, he goes on the Banta, rides into town. We talk to, I'm sorry, what are they called? The race is called what again?
The Pike Syndicate.
So what I love about this, like right now we're in episode 3, and we still don't really know. Like the flashback has a storyline, and the current timeline has a storyline, and you don't really know who's the bad guy, who's double crossing who, right? Like he goes and visits the Pikes. The Pikes say, "Well, why should we pay you for protection when we're already paying these what are they called, the Storm Riders or something, the Sand Riders or whatever?" we're paying them for protection, right? Oh, I'll take care of that sort of thing, right? So, and of course, when Boba Fett does a slow journey back on the Banta, how long does it take to travel in those things? Those things don't look like a speedy mode of transportation at all.
Super slow. I thought that was a really good way to showcase the deserts and the dunes. So, and like even that took me back to being a kid too, like seeing that bantha. I've always loved banthas, and to see those shots,
photos here,
very cool. But yeah, Todd, I 100% agree with you. That could have been like a week's worth of journey to get to see the Pikes.
Absolutely.
Just for a one tribute interaction for protection. He'd be back and forth his whole life.
I know, right? Like, again, I thought the visuals were spectacular. The whole entire walk in the Banta, like you're saying, the sand dunes look just gorgeous. And
yeah, look at
what I really liked about the editing, right, is it really felt, again, I thought it was really good how they cut it together and then get the impression that it did take a long time to travel back and forth, right? They have a good passage of time. And then, of course, he gets back and then he's rudely surprised by what he sees is that, do you have pictures of that too, Steve?
I'm trying to, yeah,
he story here?
Yeah, he comes back and, of course,
they're all, the tent, the Tusken encampment is just destroyed, and everybody's dead. Everybody's dead.
Yeah,
even all the banthas.
Yes, I didn't get the banthas, but yeah, it was shocking, or it was a surprise until I saw it, and then I was like, that's kind of going along, kind of the storyline they're going with the Dances with Wolves thing.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Like he finally gets his family, like this, the orphan, clone boy finally gets his family, and then all of a sudden, it gets ripped away from him again. Right, he's back again in the deep underbelly of Star Wars, getting things taken away from him. I had a lot of questions with that. I was very suspicious of the Pikes when I saw that. It almost seemed too convenient for the Raiders or that's the street gang, or not the street gang, the Raiders, the gang, take them up.
The Sand Riders, whatever they called them. Yeah,
Sand Riders. Yeah, it seemed like it makes sense from a retaliation perspective. Boba goes, whoops their butts and takes their speeders away, but for them to come back and just tear everything to shreds, I'm suspecting that the Pikes might actually be behind all of this, and it's and
Definitely.
In that way somehow connects the flashbacks to what's currently going on in the power struggle.
And that's exactly it. The dynamics, like who's in charge, who's the big bad guy. Like, to me, I think that you're right. The Pikes are playing the Tusken Raiders and the Sand Riders against each other. Wipe them both out. Therefore, they don't have to pay them for protection. They'll become the protection people afterwards, right?
100%. 100%.
That's what I love.
Tatooine,
you can't trust anybody in Tatooine, right? Everybody's dirty. Everybody's slimy, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
Classic. Everyone's trying to backstab each other.
I was going to say that question, Todd, kind of came up with this guy that I forget his name, but he's with kind of like he's a water merchant, and he was coming to basically talk to Boba Fett to try to get him to pay tribute or to investigate this gang or something that were stealing water. And it's funny because wasn't it there that he had said that, or was it Fennec Shand? No, I think it was him, where everyone wasn't sure what Boba's move was going to be, right? That was kind of the rest of the gangs were waiting to see what Boba Fett was going to do. And that's kind of the tension between all the gangs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I did like how they pointed out, like the Trandoshans, I think they kind of own the center of the city. The Aqualish were on the outskirts or something. And then what were they? The Cartonians, or I forget what the third group was.
Clatoonian, I think. Here.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
And they had like the southern part of Mos Eisley. So I kind of liked how they broke it down. So we're going to see all these people now.
Obviously, yeah.
That's a cool dynamic too. I really like that. We have these districts. It's not just Jabba the Hutt anymore. It's there's a lot of different moving pieces that Boba needs to navigate.
And thanks for showing me that. I've got Jimmy. That's the guy from News Radio. I think his character was called Jimmy on News Radio. That's him.
News
that's
Radio. He was in
Yeah.
Dodgeball.
He was in
Dodgeball, yeah.
So I like the actor great, and when he appeared, I was pretty excited, and I really liked his kind of gameplay too. Right, he was doing right, like we don't, no one's believing in you, no one's like kind of trusting you, sort of thing. Like you do this for me, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back, sort of thing, right? So again, he's already slimy, right? And then I like the whole entire twist, so Boba goes to town, finds this gang of people hanging out, these bionic cyborg type people hanging out, and then that just is kind of the whole kind of reversal sort of thing, right? Like, so
Yeah.
And how does he take care of it? Right?
The cyberpunk gang, who are the cleanest people
on the planet,
all of Tatooine. Not one speck of sand or dust or anything has landed on this group at all, and they look really slick driving their Vespas.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to criticize before I go was I hated their bikes, the different colors, like everything on the planet. Even the mayor, later on in the episode, the mayor's little sidekick is driving away in a speeder. It's banged up, it's dirty as heck. These Vespa speeders were just too shiny and just too pristine for Tatooine. I think the conditions are much more harsh. Even sun bleaching would just fade that chrome in the paint, and I didn't like the bikes, the speeder bikes.
I think that might be a common criticism among all of us tonight is the bikes and the chase, even perhaps.
The chase scene. Remember last week we were talking about the train stagecoach, or the train robbery, whatever they did, sort of thing, and how good it looked. Like it looked like feature film quality. Where I thought this speeder bike chase scene looked very janky. And I just think they didn't put enough attention to it. And again, it's Rodriguez directing it. If I compare that chase scene to Once Upon a Time in Mexico, they had a quick little car chase scene there, which I thought was very similar. And I don't think Rodriguez is really good at car chase scenes. I'm just going to say that right now. It just didn't flow very nicely. It felt very slow. The speeders had no speed. You guys feel that sense too? Just everything seemed very, very slow.
I would love to at this moment have Robert Rodriguez waiting in the background of me going, well, you can tell yourself, Todd.
No,
that would destroy Todd.
No, I would destroy him because I idolize the guy. Like I just thought that scene just felt janky. Again, whether it's his fault or just didn't have time, or maybe they spent all the time on the train sequence, which looked fantastic. Just this didn't look like the same caliber. That's all.
It's okay to have weak spots too. Not everybody's perfect. You can still like him and criticize his work.
Absolutely.
I like before we dive too deep into the speeder or lack thereof chase. I did really like that sequence with I think his name was Lortha Peel, the water merchant. Just leading up to that, like immediately when he came in. And he was saying, under the other daimyos, I didn't have any issues. And this by disrespecting me, they're also disrespecting you. And I was like, you patronizing.
Absolutely.
Like you are going to get it. He sees through you.
Absolutely.
And then for them to go back and Boba to flip the script on them. And just say, like, why aren't you working here? Well, okay, now you're working for me. And then put it back on the guy and, sort of shove it back in his face. Like, you disrespected me and I'm the one that rules the streets. So you better, lower your prices and don't disrespect me again. I thought that was a really cool reversal.
Yeah, I really love that too. It's a great way to set up the episode, I thought. Just the fact that, Boba Fett has a negotiation tactics sort of thing. He basically says, your water prices to drop your prices, right? And so what can he do, right? He took his payment and slunk away, right?
Yeah, and he needs to build up his muscle too. Like it's him, Fennec, and the guards, and he needs a little bit of backup there, which again immediately came in handy.
And that's what I thought too when he was going to go talk to the gang, and it was just him and Fennec and the Gamorreans walking down the street again, coming up to them, and I made notes, and as that was happening, I was like, how is Boba Fett going to hold his position with 2 Gamorreans and Fennec? Like, how is anyone afraid of this guy? Because this is all he's got, right? Like, there's big gangs of people around the city or around the planet. And then it was later on when, when he meets up with the cyberpunk cool gang from the CW network, and
that's exactly what it is.
The cast from the Vampire Diaries come out on their Vespas, and they give him all this attitude, and it's so funny. He's like Boba Fett, and he's like, "Oh, you're stealing." So, okay, well, stop doing that. We need the money because we don't have jobs. We'll get a job. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like that for a little bit, and I thought it was weird. Now they did become sort of scared of him when he was like, "Will you come work for me?" And then he got more serious, and you could see that they were like, kind of the facade of the tough hipster kids, if that's a thing.
Oxymoron.
They kind of got scared. You could see, especially in the girl. I forget her. I don't even know if they said her name, but she looks more like, oh, okay. And that's when he's like, oh, they're going to come work for me. And I'm like, okay. So now he's got Fennec, 2 Gamorreans, and 5 hipsters with Vespas. So he's on his way. And I thought that was going to be okay until the end of the show when I saw,
yeah,
he's going to be fighting.
One thing that I think both Todd, you and Steve brought up was like the cleanliness of them on Tatooine. And that was something that didn't really add up for me watching the scene, right? They're standing around this dumpster fire, this barrel fire, right? They're all very clean, polished, and they're drinking stolen water, like right outside of the establishment that they just burgled.
Stole it.
That didn't really add up. Like if they were, had all this money and all these resources to, put robot droid parts in themselves to make themselves better, that should be like nothing to them, right? They're clean. They could probably afford it. I mean, not at those prices, but it's something didn't really add up to me.
No, I agree, and I don't think that was right in front of the establishment. I think Water Dude followed Boba Fett to help confront him.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it didn't happen in front of the establishment. That would make no sense, whatever. But that's what I think it happened, sort of thing. But yeah, my problem is I like the interaction. I like what was said. I like how it unfolded. I really like everything. Just about that gang just seemed off-putting. Just didn't fit. It's like one of those Sesame Street games. One of the things don't belong. They don't belong. Just the whole entire image. And like you're saying, the fact that they're enhancing all their cybernetics, that would come as a hefty price, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
And then they're stealing water. Again, they're a punk street gang, so maybe they're just steal water. They're just saying they can't afford it, but they probably can.
Yeah, they just didn't seem to fit into the Star Wars universe. Like, we had this universe that before George Lucas, all sci-fi, everything was clean and white and polished. And he came along, he made this universe that was supposed to be there for thousands of years, look lived in, right? So then you have, through The Mandalorian to now the first 3 episodes of this, everything is lived in. You feel it feels like the inside of the Millennium Falcon, except for these kids.
I know where they're from. They're from Naboo. That would make sense. They look like they're from Naboo. They're too clean. Their bikes look like Naboo. Come on.
If they were on like actual speeders, I think that would have made it better for me. Like if they were clean, robotic, cybernetic, whatever. But if they were on like the speeders and having a speeder chase like the speeders they used in the last episode, I think that would have made it better for me. But yeah, those bikes were too clean.
And the mirrors, the one that had all the mirrors, they're all pimped up. I'm like, just like
that reminds me of maybe several movies that trope where even in the Matrix when Trinity's waiting for Neo to come down, and then they have that same scene, her looking in the mirror of the agents coming in, then she takes off on the bike, the same exact scene. So I'm not saying that it was copied. I'm just saying it reminded me of that, and maybe that's just kind of a thing. Like
it actually reminded me weirdly of Back to the Future, when they go into the future and Marty has the chase on the hoverboards with the future Biff's
yeah.
grandson or whatever it is, and it's like that weird retro futurism of how the past thought the future would unfold,
Right.
and that's what it kind of seemed to me, is like this weird looking gang with all these weird bells and whistles,
Right.
chasing down this dusty looking speeder.
Do you know what I noticed during the crash? Like, so during this chase, and then when he finally crashes, anyone recognize the fruit?
It's exactly Back to the Future, dude. Because he wipes out, and Biff wipes out, and all the turd comes in, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
Same thing. But the fruit,
is that the one
immediately
from
recognized
Rebels?
this.
What was it called again? Yes,
It is.
It's called Meloran fruit.
Meloran.
Meilorun fruit. So
Oh, deep
Meloran.
dive and research, Steve. Good job.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I first thought it was that what's that, dragon fruit? I was like, what is that, dragon fruit? Or I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I Googled the picture right away because I knew that's what it was. It was from the first episode, I believe. First season, first episode.
It's early.
Yeah, that's a cool callback.
That is.
That is a cool callback.
And if
Is that
you mentioned Back to the Future, and then the whole thing is dumped in, that's wow. Absolutely, you're right onto that, Adam.
That's very and yeah.
Where else do we go from there? So I think we jumped forward a little bit because
yes.
don't we get the flashback? Like he recruits the gang. We get he gets in the back to tank, and we get the flashback there of him dealing with the Pikes, then coming back to see the tribe has been massacred,
and then he gets rudely awakened up.
This actually was, I have to say, because I know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Robert Rodriguez are watching this right now. That was, I think, the first time I can remember that I had a jump scare from a Star Wars movie.
Oh,
because I was watching it. I was telling Adam I was watching it at work. I was doing PowerPoint slides, and I was watching it, and I happened to be like paying attention because he went from him coming out of his dream, and then holy cow, he gets this guy shows up.
It was interesting because I thought something was that when the tank opened, it starts overspilling. It's never done that before. It's always emptied first. So I was like, "What's going on?" Then of course he grabs them, and they're like, "Wow!" I thought that
happened fast.
Yes,
yeah, that was fast. The big, it looks like they're dancing. Anyways, if you know any better, yeah, what a crazy scene.
Easily one of the best parts of the episode for me to see him like I say it happened so fast because wasn't it last episode we saw the twins? We were introduced to Chrysanthemum, and they said sleep lightly, and sure enough, first time we see him back in the back of the tank, he gets ripped from it, and that it was cool. It was just cool to see.
Yeah,
the biker gang wasn't working out so well in the beginning because where were they? How did the guy get sneak by them?
Everyone, he stuck by them, and it's not like he's a hobbit where he can sneak around with his magic ring. He's he's an 8 foot tall Wookiee.
But he's a bounty hunter, and I think bounty hunters have a capability of trying to be undetected to get to their target.
Now,
I imagine
his equipment that I was really fond of was his electro brass knuckles or whatever they were. That was kind of a nice touch.
Ooh, man, did Boba ever take one with one of those too?
I know, right?
Oof.
I mean, he gave some with his little staff. He got the pointy end stuck in his back. It was stuck in his back for quite some time. That would have hurt.
Because at one point he rips it out of his back.
Yeah, and then the second time
stabs him in the back of the knee.
Yeah,
like they stabbed him so many times. Okay,
they exchanged quite a few blows.
This scene here. This is another thing with the cyberpunk gang that bothered me about this scene. So I'm not going to point out that apparently there is not a blaster to be found in the entire area.
The guy has one. The guy the guy on the far left, he had one.
Okay, but no one's shooting. And I just thought it was funny. They have these typical gang weapons. Like the guy's got the chain with the advanced weapon at the end, and he's like whoosh, whoosh, swinging it, and then she's got the little vibro knife. I'm assuming it's like a vibro blade. and they all have like these. I was expecting the one guy to have nunchucks or like a crowbar or something that was just glowing at the end and stuff. I just thought it was really funny to me, and that BK, the notorious bounty hunter, thought, well, if I'm going to assassinate Boba Fett, I should leave that giant rifle behind in my room and go beat him up with my hands instead. I just thought if it was me, I'd go up to the thing, open it up, and blast him in the head, and that'd be the end of it. But I guess they wanted to kind of showcase that he was a giant monster of a beast, and he basically, my favorite part was he football tackled those two Gamorreans down the stairs.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was cool. But maybe that goes to show you how little of a threat he thought they were, right? Like he's this notorious bounty hunter who's been across the galaxy, and then there's this lowly cyberpunk gang from the streets of Tatooine who are very, very under skilled for what they're about to face, and he just thought, I could wipe the floor with all of them. I thought it was also interesting that when BK throws Boba into his armor, he immediately goes for the staff instead of I guess he did grab one weapon before that, but instead of going through like for his blaster, all his tech, he goes for like a weapon that he now feels comfortable with, and he gets a few good blows in.
That is very true. Yeah, he grabs the gaffy stick and stuff, and
the gaffy stick. Yeah.
And that's what was stuck in his back for some of the fight.
Yeah.
So
I really like always we get Fennec Shand to save the day.
Yeah, I also like when after the Gamorrean guards are rolling down the stairs, he takes a bite of one of the guards' necks. Right, big chomp on the vampire bite and rips him up.
And from my understanding with Wookiees too, they do have the claws, but they don't use them because it's not honorable. They're very honor-based society. And I mean, and the backstory on him, maybe we'll find out later, but I've been just reading up on him in the comics and whatever else. But he was actually banished from Kashyyyk, from his people. And I forget what it was. Like he's done something so dishonorable that they banished him and stuff. So he actually went into the gladiator fighting. And maybe that's why he chose to use his hands, because he wanted to be a gladiator, which is again not an honorable thing for the Wookiees. So he would use his claws, he would bite and things like this that they frown upon, that they don't, because they might have claws and teeth, but they're not savages, so they don't. But he has no problem fighting like a gladiator. So I mean, that could be it. He's just like, I'm the gladiator. I'm the unbeaten champion. So I'm just gonna kill all you dumb kids and this old guy, and I'll look over my shoulder for Fennec, but that's about it.
I will say this right now. I hope that is not the last we see of Chrysanthemum, because if he's in and out in 2 episodes, I will be disappointed.
You're jumping forward, but I don't see that happening. Like the way that I have to go really soon, but the way it ended, I would like to think they would see him back again, and possibly with what happened and how it happened, possibly he'd come back and maybe partner up with Boba Fett.
That's what I thought was going to happen at the end when the twins said, "Oh, here's a gift for you too. You can have the Wookiee." And I thought he was going to release him, and then he'd have this life debt and work for him. But then again, too, I don't think that BK has that same honor, right? Because he was banished because he's like, I'm doing my own thing. But I thought he was just going to stay because he's like, it's not personal, it's business, right? Like Boba Fett lets him go, and I was like,
I was hoping that too. Yeah, I was hoping for that too.
Maybe
I can see him coming back. Just like a Mandalorian, they had set up all these other side characters. They all came back. I see the same thing happening.
Kenobi.
But speaking of the twins,
we might see him in Kenobi.
Speaking of the twins, we get another tasty little introduction here. A friend of Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm sorry, I have to go, guys. Good luck with the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, thanks Todd.
A lot, Todd. See you later. So yeah, we getting into the I think it was the apology gift that they gave him.
I did not expect that at all. Two great things. First, well, I guess three. First, we get to see the twins again. That was cool. Anytime we get to see a Hutt in live action, awesome. But then we get their apology gift. And that's a nice little package there.
Oh, I thought I had it here. Here we go. Nope.
Oh,
sorry,
wrong one.
So, okay. Oh, I didn't save it. Okay, so I didn't think I uploaded. Well, the gift was a Rancor brought in by Danny Trejo.
Yes, the Rancor was one thing. And they brought it in. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I caught a glimpse of the trainer. And I was like, no flipping way. That's Danny Trejo. They brought Machete himself.
I was going to when he was first coming in, I remember thinking, man, that actor kind of looked, because he was far away coming in. I thought, that actor looks like Danny Trejo. And I was like, get out of here. I can't believe they did that. So now Danny Trejo is part of the Star Wars universe.
He is. He absolutely is. And he's such a cool character, too. I mean, like, a Rancor trainer? Are you kidding me? And it looks like he's going to be back several times because, I mean, Boba's clearly got a soft spot for this Rancor.
Yeah. So
I'm saying this. I'm going to make one prediction right now, and I'm going to say this and be on record. If we don't see Boba at the end of this series, the Book of Boba Fett, riding his Rancor through the streets of Mos Eisley, asserting his dominance as daimyo, I will be very disappointed. That's what I want to see.
I think that's the goal, is for him to use that as a pet to ride, and that's going to be a lot better than a bunch of shaking people underneath carrying
a way better litter or whatever they called it. Yes. Those shaky people, to have someone riding around on a Rancor. He will not only be respected, but he will be feared.
And Rancor, I understood were to be very rare. So I was shocked to see that. I thought I mentioned this in other podcasts, that they were probably just going to replace, put some other kind of beast down there. And we were going through the different things that they could have stuck down there. But at first it was BK's prison, but then it turned into a Rancor now. Like, it's young and all this kind of stuff. And it threw me off. That was the other thing that kind of got me, where it's like Danny Trejo's talking to Boba Fett. Danny Trejo, because I don't think we told.
Does he have a name yet? Let's go on IMDb.
I don't know, but Danny Trejo is talking to Boba Fett. That sounds funny in this sentence.
Yeah. Never thought you'd say that sentence, eh?
I know. I was like, wonder if his
Rancor Keeper is his official tag on IMDb.
Okay, so it was better me saying Danny Trejo. So Danny Trejo is
Machete and Boba Fett.
Machete, you called him Machete. It's funny. So he's talking to Boba Fett as Boba Fett's petting this. Someone had mentioned it as his. What do you call that? People, they have special dogs, so they're.
Like a service animal?
Not a service, where you call it it's for your mental well-being. I forget what they call that to refer a dog to. Anyways, that was the joke. But he Danny Trejo's going on about, they're misunderstood and blah blah blah, and they're quite complex. And then I was kind of thinking to myself, like, so are we making Rancors nice now too? You know what I mean? It's like, we're running out of villains or things to be scared of here. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, it was kind of like that whole thing. Like, yeah, it's a pit bull, but it's the upbringing. And everything's gonna be magical.
I totally thought the same thing. No, pit bulls are misunderstood. Rancors are misunderstood. So they're only bred to be fighters.
Yes, and I just thought, come on, like, there's got to be some wild beasts left, right? Like, I guess it's too soon to say, but I guess the only good Tusken Raiders are now all dead. So,
yeah, who knows? They might go back to chaos. But just based on what you said before of the rarity of Rancors,
Right.
That was a heck of an apology gift, right? To bring a Rancor with a trainer, with
Right.
I mean the trainer Machete himself.
Exactly.
But based on even what we saw with the Bad Batch and how big the bounty was to get the one Rancor to Tatooine the first time, because what wasn't that the mission for the Bad Batch is they had to go retrieve Bib Fortuna's
Yes.
Rancor, and there was a hefty bounty on that too. So that's a pretty big apology from the twins, and I think they're very right to assume that the twins are going to take a step back, arm Boba a little bit. They can take a step back and let Boba and the other syndicate weaken each other.
Right.
Then come in the final hour and overtake Tatooine again.
That's very, very, very smart. They are sneaky Hutts or slugs. What do you call them? Slugs? Slugs. Do you know what I just noticed in my notes in the scene where he's the flashback with the Tuscans killed in that village, and he's doing the burning of the bodies, right? Like we had talked about. But I made a big note in giant letters, like he cries during that, which is like Boba Fett crying. He wasn't crying when his dad's head was cut off. You know what I mean? Like, well, that we saw. And I thought that was pretty moving. It's showing how changed the man he was. And I think that village saving his life and, having all the burdens of the universe off his shoulders in his recovery, really maybe, because I was saying it just seems so quick for him to change his personality or the person he was, but it's all the trauma, I guess. And there was some time passed there. So yeah.
And maybe this does connect to the a more broader revenge or avenge storyline, because the Clone Wars did a bit to expand on Boba's quest to kill Mace Windu in the animated series and get back at the man who killed his father, his only family. And now maybe we're going to see that with Boba attempt to get back first at the Riders and then maybe realize that it was the Pikes the whole time. So this could just be an extended, revenge type narrative.
Yeah. So I am looking forward. I mean, how many episodes? We have 4 episodes left. Let's hope by next episode he's riding that Rancor.
I mean, he should be.
Well, I mean, so it has to happen now. Next episode has to be that scene we saw in the trailer where he's having a meeting with all the families. And how cool would it be if he goes to that meeting riding a Rancor?
That would be cool. And see, I'm almost convinced that they're going to save it for the end. And I don't know when that meeting happens, because wasn't Mos Eisley part of that meeting, or do you think that was just like a quick misdirect cut scene, or is maybe Boba gathering all of the other families and leaving Mos Eisley to deal with the Pike Syndicate and saying we can all make money together?
Yeah. I don't think he was there, was he? I thought it was just the probably the 3 gangs, right?
The 3 gangs, yeah.
College and stuff. So I think we're going to see that there, but I had something about the twins. Looking at them being carried in again, I'm thinking to myself, so like Jabba had a barge. Like, do these people not have a faster, better way to be carried around the planet? Maybe it was parked around the corner.
I hope so, because to think that those poor people had to carry those 2 huge huts from a spaceport all the way up to Jabba's palace is just awful. I do like, I will say, on the topic of the barges and speeders and everything, I will say I did enjoy that they referenced the sail barge disaster, right at the beginning of the episode. The droid, what droid is that? Is it 8D8? Referenced the sail barge disaster. I thought that was pretty funny too, that they have a name for it.
and he says, of he who must not be named or something like that. And I thought, because he's not saying Jabba, and then Boba Fett's like, oh, you can say his name, you don't have to be afraid and stuff. And I just thought that was funny because he wasn't supposed to say his name. There was another little during the chase. I thought the most amazing part of that whole chase was this scene here when two guys carrying his painting out.
I'm glad you snapped a picture because it was too fast for me and I didn't stop it.
Yeah, that's as good as I could get it. But it was, that's a McQuarrie picture for Return of the Jedi, right? The concept art. So, and he totally destroys that thing. I thought that was, I couldn't believe it because again, too, like I said, I was kind of watching it and I was like, wait a minute, is that what I just thought I saw? So. That was cool.
That's probably the best part of this chase there, eh?
That was yeah, I know.
One of the only takeaways. Like overall, I really liked the episode. I thought it was, very good to see a little more backstory on how Tatooine or Mos Espa rather is divided, and what Boba's going to do, and how the Pikes are involved. But that chase was just out of place.
Yeah, and speaking of Mos Espa, there seemed to be a dig at Mos Eisley. I think I remember this right.
Yeah.
With the water merchant, he's like, if you don't like it, move to Mos Eisley. And he's like, no. You know what I mean? So, but it is not the same. Mos Eisley, if you look at The Mandalorian, was just like a ghost town and kind of nothing. Oh, speaking of Mos Eisley, I did get a picture here. I want to point out too, when Boba Fett's doing his bantha walk into, this was Mos Eisley, because then while he's sitting there, I don't think I got this. Damn. So this person's putting all the helmets, right? And we've seen the Mandalorian walk by that. I think I missed the picture.
Yeah. Because that's where the bar was, the original bar that Luke and Obi-Wan found Han and Chewie in. Wasn't that in Mos Eisley as well?
It was, yeah. And I think I missed it. I did. So basically walking by is that mechanic with the...
Yes. I did see that too. Yeah, I thought that was a nice little Easter egg in there too.
I didn't upload it. I thought that was pretty cool. So while she's doing what she's doing and fixing his ship while he's out doing whatever, Boba Fett's there. So are we going to see the Mandalorian? I wonder.
I wonder. I don't. I've heard rumors that we're going to get a brief cameo. I've heard rumors of many cameos, actually. After this week, I've heard many rumors of cameos. I'm sure you have too.
Cameos.
Like Harrison Ford was trending on Twitter at one part. I think from the first episode, one of the commenters said Kira from the Solo story was rumored to be cameoed in, which it makes sense now narratively based on how closely they're tied to the Pikes, because she dealt with the Pikes quite a bit, and the whole Crimson Dawn dealt with the Pikes, the Pike Syndicate, and running Spice. So maybe that's the connection.
Yeah, and speaking of the Pikes, when they took the train in the last episode and Boba's making all these demands, and I kind of thought it was easy, and you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, they're going to be okay with that. But what would a giant crime organization do when they're threatened? They just kill everyone involved. So it's funny because Boba's, you could say that he should have seen that coming because he was part of that lifestyle, but maybe he just let that slip. He just, you know what I mean? He probably blames himself too, right? For getting them involved. He should have just had them hide out and not get involved. But when he said, oh, you're under the protection of these Tuskens, I mean, that was it for them. And so it's really interesting where the Hutts were, I'm not going to say they're afraid, why they're leaving the planet. But you're right. I think they're just going to leave and let all the groups kill themselves and come back stronger. But
it's really cool to see the Pikes in live action, though, because you've watched the Clone Wars, right? You've seen that their fingers are in everything crime, especially when it's spice related. Right. And with so many references in the movies to, like running spice and spice being this, illegal substance, to finally see more of that in live action, because they do dive into it in the animated series, but to see more of that in live action, especially when it's, crime related Star Wars, I think it's necessary. Like, we need to see the dynamic between the Hutts and the Pikes.
Yeah, and I was hoping to see more of that, as in like a lot of gang warfare, like, more not PG-13. I thought they were going to delve into, but speaking of the Pikes, when they were coming off the ship at the end, and you see the whole groups of them coming off, Fennec calls the ship. She's like, "Yeah, they came in on the Starliner today." And I think that's a call out to the new Disney hotel that they have going.
Oh, is it? See, I thought it was like that.
Or the Star Cruiser.
The Star Cruiser. I thought it was like that attempt to be inconspicuous, like was it Attack of the Clones, when they took like the public transit Star Cruiser or whatever it is? But yeah. That, knowing that Disney now owns the franchise, I'm sure that was a nice little callback.
They're like,
to the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Yeah,
please book. You might see one of these people. My God, because I think that I think that there's a lot of room at that resort. The $6,000 for 2 people for 2 days.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a lot of room. It's like, especially with that fiasco that they had with the trailer that launched, and they quickly redacted that. Hey,
I could not believe it. I was like, man, that kid was so good on the Goldbergs, but this is not looking good.
I know. As soon as I saw that kid, I was like, oh man, they chose the perfect guy. Hey, like the ultimate fanboy. He's got like that classic voice from the Goldbergs, but did it just flop?
Oh, it was so terrible. I'm really disappointed, because the fact is all this stuff is supposed to be incorporated in Galaxy's Edge, right? You're supposed to, all these cosplayers walking around and interacting with guests and stuff, but
that was the reason for the cyborg gang too, though, like thinking of it, because when you think of Boba Fett trying to gather a crime army, you think of, dusty bounty hunters, Bosk, people that he knows and deals with, the underbelly of Star Wars, and these are, clean kids.
I know. In experience, they were crapping their pants when they were fighting BK, and I'm saying fighting, I'm using that term loosely with them, because they were just being bounced around. So they're lucky he wasn't breaking their backs like in some wrestling move or something. It's so funny, but again, that's what the meeting's for. Maybe he realizes he needs more than a bunch of teenagers on,
maybe these are just his eyes on the street, eyes on the ground, right? Like, hopefully he'll get some more muscle here in some form, because that gang ain't gonna cut it.
I know they're not, and so the rumor too was that girl with the cybernetic arm, they were calling, I forget what her name was in the comics or whatever, but she was kind of like Dark Jedi, not Dark Jedi, but like a dark Force user.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem they've gone that route.
We talked about that one briefly too, and that honestly got me a little excited at the potential for the show, and I guess the potential of the Force in the galaxy, that it's just not, I guess, isolated between either Jedi and Sith. It's like there's all of these other fractions of Force users, which we kind of have seen a little bit in the animated series. But yeah, that definitely got my hopes up.
Right.
And I was a little bit disappointed at the actual reveal that she was not, in fact, a dark Jedi or a dark-ish Force user.
She was just a regular hipster on a dirty planet.
Dirty planet with a nice Vespa scooter.
That's what they were. I sent Todd a picture after he was saying that he wasn't keen on the speeders, and someone on Twitter had made a kind of a meme with all these different Vespas together, and they said every time I watch that episode, this is what it reminds me of. And he's like, yeah, that's it. I wish I would have uploaded it here because that's what they look like. So I'm not sure what they were trying to reference with that. Someone I watched do a review said that they were trying to do a call out to American Graffiti, that movie by George Lucas, but they were all in cars. So I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. He made that movie before Star Wars was released, and one of his friends, I forget, one of the big director friends of him, convinced him to do a normal movie, do a normal movie for the studios, make them happy. And they weren't going to release it. Some executive hated it. They're like, oh, you wasted your money, blah, blah, blah. And it was like in the 50s or something. It was supposed to be, and a bunch of kids that are car racing, and Harrison Ford's in it.
Oh, really?
Harrison Ford, Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard.
Wow.
Yeah. So he directs this movie. And after Star Wars blows up, they're like, oh, look, we got this other movie by that George Lucas guy, Star Wars. And they released it, and it did really, really well because there was no budget. And it's a really good movie. So, well, it is what it is, that kind of movie.
Yeah.
But, so
actually, now that we're back on the whole chase sequence, and you making the connection with the Melu run
yes.
fruit too, I think they could have done a better job at almost emulating the chases in Star Wars Rebels too. Like, I think Star Wars Rebels had a few really good like street chases because that's what they were initially, right? They were rebels in a city that had been overrun by the Empire. Right. And if they could have captured a little bit of that, grittiness, as opposed to the cleanliness of the speeders, I think it would have made me a little bit happier. But it just it seemed out of place.
It did.
Not to say that those speeders wouldn't be on another planet like Naboo Todd was saying, but
Coruscant,
like
a city planet. Those kids look like they would be on a city planet. I keep saying kids. I'm sure I'm way older than them, so I'm okay with saying that. But that's what they're supposed to be, I guess. But they should be on a city planet. It's like, oh, we have no money. Let's travel to the outer rim from the city and steal water. It's just so weird. But it goes to show how valuable water is on the planet, because like Luke was a moisture farmer as a kid, or even as you get older, you're like, what? They're getting water, like, for what? But they're important, right? They sell that water to farmers for crops, and it looks like it's sold for currency, even. You know what I mean? It's really interesting.
That's a super cool concept to have, even like back to the original trilogy and back to New Hope. The idea to have people farming moisture is just such like such a futuristic, like dystopian type fantasy element. I think that's really cool, and to have water be the resource that is so highly valued. I mean, it in many ways reflects the current state of the world, but to see that how valued it is on a desert planet, that people are stealing for it, and the tribes of Tatooine are worship the water as a resource of the planet. I think that's a really cool detail.
You think that the Tuscans would want to get involved in that, but they're digging for their water, right? For those little ball things. But again, too, they're nomads, right? So they're not going to sit around in one spot collecting water. But I don't remember any stories of them robbing the moisture farms, like, and I think they're booby trapped anyways. Like, from what I understand, the devices the moisture farmers use are like protected. So maybe people do try to steal water, including Tuscans.
Yeah, maybe they do, but like you said, even from the interactions that we got with the Tuscans, it doesn't seem like they're as technologically proficient enough
Yeah.
to organize an agrarian type farming horticultural practice of
Right.
farming water, as opposed to searching for the water as it is in the land.
Yeah. No, that's true. I guess it's baby steps, right? Today they learn how to ride a speeder bike. Tomorrow they learn how to farm moisture.
I will say one of the best things to come out of last episode is that meme it has become a meme now.
Oh,
The scene of Tamura training Boba training the Tuscans how to ride like a bantha, and now that's the whole meme. Hey, I see it everywhere now.
It's everywhere. I know. It's like going through Twitter feeds. It's just like it's everywhere on all social media. Yeah,
it's
I wonder
absolutely
if he's
amazing.
I'm
sure he has.
like I said, I'm really disappointed that BK didn't stick around, that story. But I think if we don't see him again, and I was afraid they were going to kill him at one point. I thought they're not going to kill this character, are they? Like, that's Darth Maul all over again. That's Boba Fett all over again.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't. And, I thought it was so funny when they're like, they let him go and they're like, you can go or something. And he runs away so slow. It's like slow motion because he's such a big dude in that suit.
Yeah.
So it just looked funny, him running across the sand. But Kenobi, we might see him in Kenobi if they follow.
Yeah, we might see him in Kenobi.
If they follow the comic, right, where it's like supposed to be when Kenobi was looking after Luke and stuff, and
Jabba hired him.
Yeah, because Kenobi had beat up some because of that gang that was harassing the moisture farmers. So he goes in and kicks their butt. So BK comes out to confront them, thinking it was Owen, and he gets involved. And and BK also fights Bosk. So,
really?
In the comics, and he almost dies. Bosk almost wins, but that Professor Afra, what's her name? Or Doctor, she's that doctor character that works with the Empire, Dr. Afra or something. She kind of stops Bosk and says, I actually need him, so don't kill him.
I'll have to go look that series up.
So that could have been the thing, right? Because we had talked about that and we had thought of that too, right? Like BK gets involved, he's going to beat up Boba Fett, so Boba Fett's going to get his friends to help and stuff. But we still might
maybe
see
this
Bosk.
will be one of those legendary cameo villain characters that we see show up from time to time in different series. Like maybe he shows up in some plot line of the Mandalorian season 3 when, I don't know, maybe if Mando has to fight a gladiator or enter a gladiator contest or something. Maybe he turns up again, or maybe it's Ahsoka that ends up facing him to get information on Thrawn. Who knows where this could go?
Yeah.
Because they're all connected in this timeline now.
I'm just hoping that we get to see all his bounty hunter buddies. Dengar, Bosk. Would it be cool if they bring back IG-88? Dengar has to be it, or Todd's head's going to pop off. IG-88, that'd be cool. There was no one else there, right? There was a couple of others, but yeah, it'd be cool if he gets the gang together, or they're like, oh, we
get the band back together. Eh?
Get the band back, yeah, that's awesome. So that was chapter 3. So I'm really looking forward to chapter 3, Streets of Mos Eisley.
Yeah, predictions for chapter 4. Let's hear them.
Chapter 4. I think the meeting happens. I think, okay, this is maybe more of a dream than a prediction. He rides, or at least gets led by Danny Trejo, with the Rancor riding it. And I hope that the cyberpunk gang stays at home and babysits the palace. And I think they're going to start making moves, right? So I think that the Pikes are going to take over Mos Espa. I think they're going to just take right over. That's why the mayor left. And they're just going to rule it. And so now he's gathering the rest of the gangs, and it's in their interest to fight with him against the Pikes. Or it's gonna be the beginning of that move.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think, we're going to start seeing some major moves. I mean, what do we have? 4 episodes left? 5 episodes left?
4, yeah.
4 episodes left.
4.
So some major moves are going to need to happen. And I think we're going to start to see how Boba is connected to the Pikes from the past and how that comes back into the future. But I think the Pikes are going to be raising their army, and hopefully Boba starts uniting the different clans, the different families of Mos Espa, so we get some good action for the last couple episodes.
Yeah, that'd be good. Hey, James, he says, I come in late and I don't see Todd. No dice, man, no dice. Todd had to leave early because he's got a real life and had to work. So,
Pikes assault Fett's palace.
That'd be it, right? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that might go along with the of them kind of taking the mayor's office. You're going to see them just kind of roll into that kind of position, I think. Or the mayor will be back, but he'll be working with them. But I think that they're just going to take over and assault Fett's palace.
That would be cool to see.
They destroy Jabba's palace.
If they make the first move, that would be interesting. I have a feeling we're going to see that that very well-dressed Pike that we saw in the flashback. I have a feeling we're going to see him as the kingpin of the Pike, right, so to speak.
Yes. That would be great. And I'm just wondering, the flashbacks, if it's going to bring us up to him meeting the Mandalorian, like I said. So, but they
maybe
might
that's
do that
where the cameo
right
is. Yeah, maybe that's where the cameo is. That's how it catches up to where we currently are. Is him realizing that the Mandalorian has his armor.
Yeah, and Tamor Morrison keeps saying, "Oh, episode 7. Wait till episode 7. It's going to be big, right?" So, rumors were we're going to see Han, Luke, and Leia on the Falcon.
Oh, you heard a rumor
on the
all
bridge?
3.
Yeah,
I heard it was just Han,
because they have Luke's likeness, right? We got that in Mandalorian. They already have Princess Leia's likeness. There was a rumor that Harrison Ford was doing that, the likeness filming recently, and not for Indiana Jones. But of course, this is Twitter and rumors. So I think, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think the big reveal is the Mandalorian. That's what he's probably thinking. So.
I wonder if we'll see more on the Bomar monks. Yeah, that was cool. I was hoping we were going to get that today, actually, just because you saw that really cool shot of them outside of the palace that we saw in the trailer. I was hoping for a little more on that and how they come to sort of cohabitate Jabba's palace a little bit. But
maybe they're not going to go that deep into stuff, but. Yeah,
hopefully, it would be cool to see more on their lore too.
There's no excuse now if the Pikes are now involved, where this just doesn't go crazy for action, violence, and the old Boba comes out and is smashing skulls with his gaffy stick. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Or worse. And did you notice in the chase, Boba Fett actually used his jetpack?
Yes, right at the end. They talk about the slowest chase ever. They go through the streets, and at the end, down comes Boba in his jetpack. Oh my goodness, that was funny. I forgot to bring that up. I made note of that too.
I know. That's what I said. But it wasn't even it was just boom, he was there instantly, and I was like, oh, he uses jetpack. That's pretty cool.
They were 2 blocks away.
Oh, that's funny. Predictions: all the factions unite against Fett. That becomes the people's timey.
Okay. That would be cool.
Huh.
The people's leader.
The people's leader.
That would be cool to see. I wonder if, now that Oscar Isaac is on Disney's payroll with the Moon Knight, and we got a little tease of his backstory in The Rise of Skywalker that he used to run Spice. Maybe our favorite or second or third or fourth favorite pilot, Mr. Poe Dameron himself, makes a little cameo running Spice here.
I can see it too. Like this could be another ending at the end. Either Boba Fett lives happily ever after as the crime leader. He dies. Okay, this is episode 7. Or he goes, this isn't me. And he becomes Boba Fett the bounty hunter again and flies off on not Slave 1. You know what I mean? Fire spray, or whatever it's called now. That would be another interesting thing, right? Where he's just like, because he still doesn't seem comfortable. He's probably like, this isn't me. I'm not a crime lord. I can't do fancy parties or have people like all this in the intrigue and stuff. Just hire me to go get or kill something and I'm good to go, because I am Boba Fett.
I don't know how long he'd last though. He has to be a crime boss. He keeps getting whooped and needs the back to tank. He needs lackeys to do his work for him.
Well, at least if he has his back to tank in his ship, he is going to be in space, won't have someone bust in and almost kill him in his sleep.
Yeah, that's the truth, eh?
Yeah. What's this?
Riding a Rancor, Canyon Fixer.
Okay, now we're getting crazy. It reminds me of was it like Chewbacca riding a dinosaur picture or something? One of those memes. But
I'm still holding out hope for Cad Bane, though. I will say this: I know we're 3 episodes in, and it's unlikely because the bounty hunter reveal was Chrysanthemum, which I'm not complaining at all.
Right.
Love Chrysanthemum, but still holding out hope for Cad Bane.
Man, they have to they have to save some stuff for like Kenobi and Ahsoka. Who else would it be? Like Andor. Wonder if he'll
Andor
run into
maybe that's where we see Poe. I don't know.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
No, that's pretty soon though. That would be pretty early because Andor is right before. It would be before Rogue One, which is before A New Hope. So Poe would be very young.
He'd be very young, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's lots of time. Man, it'd be good if Cad Bane, but I think they've kind of, I think they've done their budget and their stories. He's right. Oh God, what's this comment? He's riding the Rancor before it's over, Steve. I'll bet you all the hockey pucks in Ontario. Okay. There's only like 4 pucks in Ontario. We just share them all. We're Canadian. We're Canadian. But there's lots of Tim Hortons. All right. With that, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks to everyone that is tuned in today. Make sure you follow us on social media, subscribe, and like this video. Maybe share with your friends. Have them show up next time. And thanks a lot, Adam. We will see you next time.